Hi guys, and welcome back for part 2 of the hammer build. You're probably going to guess it, I filmed the intro for the first video, the outro for the first video, the intro for the second video, all the same night. I've just filmed them back to back to back. Because I was originally going to do it in one part, and I didn't have an outro. I think I was going to film that later. And it got so freaking long, I figured, I really ought to break this up. So I figured I'd break it into a two-part. I did all 3 intros. I also changed it because it was going to be a tips and tricks, and it went to a project video, because I'm breaking up how I'm doing things. But welcome back for part 2. In this section, we're going to be covering the machining of the handle, the first pour, and the re-pour. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's jump right in. Alrighty, boys and girls, we're set up out here in the welding room. So we're on the nice metal table, so we're not going to burn anything. I got Noah's lead pot back out here. I'm pretty sure this came across on the Mayflower. It's older than Maflusa. I mean, I still got this ancient freaking cord. I don't know, I inherited the thing. It's plugged, looks like it's something off an old electric chair. But whatever, she's an old girl, but she still works. But this is used to melt lead. This is actually used for bullet casting, is why I have it, and it still works. That's why I still have it. But today we're going to be using it to cast our hammer. Now we got it set to 700 degrees-ish. We'll see what it actually hits. But in there's the lead, and it's just warming up, so nothing's molten yet. But early in this video, I said you guys probably had it in your house and didn't even know it. Well, that's where I'm getting the lead I'm going to be using for this hammer. This is old flashing. And it's actually most commonly used around your chimneys to flash into your shingles. Because as they go up, they can lay sheet lead into the brick and mortar as they're laying up the chimney. And when they put the shingles on, these different flaps get folded down and formed, so they can do a compound curve. And that's usually done with lead. So most of you have this in your house and don't even know it. So if you're terrified of it, you might want to do a little research. But anyways, a good way to get lead is to get buddy-buddy with a roofer. Because if they have to tear off a roof, they have to tear out the lead and redo it. So that's where this stuff came from. You see it's kind of nasty. It's got dirt in it. It's got paint on it. It's got nails in it and tar. But the cool thing about melting metal is once it's molten, all the junk will float to the top. We just skim it off. So I need to wait for this to warm up. There's nowhere near enough in there, so I got to cut up some strips of this so they fit in there. And yeah, I'll throw on a little high speed of this melting down and me chopping up raw material here, and we'll set the mold up and go for it. Come on, make it healthy. This stuff is super soft. Just bring it yours. It's nothing to cut. Super soft. It's not actually flashing. You can't do that with any other metal. Make the melting. Come on. I'm going to put you guys off. This is going to take like 20-30 minutes to warm up. You guys need to wait a minute, so I'll check back in a while. I don't know if I have enough or not. I think so. I think we'll be okay. As you can see now, I've actually opened the door completely. There's a lot of paint on this stuff, and that's what's burning off. It should stop once everything melted. Come on, into the pot. I love melting metal. It's fun. Come on. Down we go. Come on. There we go. Down, down, down. Oh, we got a lot of crap on top here. One more piece and get ready to cast. Okay guys, most of my lead is in there and molten. Stir stick. You see, I mean, all this kind of powdery stuff on top. That's all the paint and tar and stuff. If you look underneath, dig through all this up, there we go. There's the lead, nice and shiny. Now there's still some lead floating on top here. I got to kind of poke down. I got one more piece to get in. But all we got to do to clean it is we literally just scoop this stuff off. But I got to let a little bit more of it melt off before I do too much here. Down below we got a mold waiting. This has a little teeny sprue in the bottom of it. It's connected to that rod, connected to this lever. So you lift this lever here, lead pours out there. Now it'll start to drip as it warms up, which I'm surprised this hasn't. I get a little cover over my sprue. There is a little problem with this mold. I should have welded a little boss on here to help kind of line the handle up, but my welder's broke at the moment, so I couldn't do that. So I've just kind of got this stashed up on blocks to hold it as level, and I've just eyeballed it. But this would have been better to have welded a boss onto the two halves and split it with the whole thing so you have something to grab the shank of our hammer handle here. But anyways, we'll make this work. And this was a little bit undersized, so I've got some modeling clay packed around it here to try to help hold it sealed. So I got to finish melting the rest of this lead, dross it off, and we'll go for the pour. Hope for the best. Alrighty guys, we are almost there. You can see how nice and shiny that is. I did end up throwing a mask on for quite a while there. It was smoking bad. I had to have it off when I was talking to you guys, unless you like play Team Fortress 2 and you understand the mumblings of the pyro. But as you can see, now most of our lead is in there. There's almost no smoke, which is a good thing. And all of our paint ended up over here in this little pile of dust. That's all our paint and old tar, a little bit up on top. There's still a little bit down in here I can't quite scrape out because, well, square scraper, round pot, you figure it out. But I love how shiny that is. This is the fun part. Now we're going to give it just a few more minutes to make sure that's right up to temperature. We're going to knock our cover off. We're going to take a Bernzomatic torch, preheat our mold and our shank a little bit. We're going to open the valve and hope for the best. I'm going to sit you guys down so you can watch, but I can't really talk too much because I have to do a lot of stuff very quickly. And we'll hope for the best. I don't know if that mold is going to be tight enough to do this or not. We'll find out. Worst case scenario, I'm going to make some lead shoes. So yeah, here we go. Let's see, put you guys here. Just to be on the safe side. Surprised it hasn't started dripping. We're just going to go for it. don't think it's going to seal, but we'll see. Worst case scenario, we just start over. Cross your fingers. Ooh, maybe. Lead is flowing. I probably should have put a vent in. That would have been a good idea. Did we get it? I don't know. Nothing's leaking. I'm going to heat the top of that up a little bit because I don't quite buy it. Maybe. Well, level's down about enough. Maybe. Ladies and gentlemen, we might have a successful casting. It didn't leak, which really surprised me. Even around the hammer handle, it didn't seem to leak. But it took quite a lot of metal, so I'm hoping. The sad part is it's such a dang big casting, we're going to have to wait quite a while for that to cool down, but I'll shut you guys down and check in with you in a few minutes for the unveiling. Alrighty guys, this is cooled down enough we can crack it open. It's still a little bit warm. I mean, it's like nowhere near trying to burn me, but just still a little bit warm to touch. But it's enough we can crack it open. So I need 2 hands to do this. I'm about to set you guys up on a little kind of stand thingy, and we'll get to it, see what it looks like. Okay, hopefully you guys can see. I don't have too much of a tripod set up at the moment, so hopefully this will work good. Let me get some better tripods here as I go along. Okay, I'm trying not to get super hopeful, because I suspect I'm going to have some air bubbles because I didn't have a vent. I should have drilled a little hole to vent it, because you could see smoke coming out of the seams. We might be okay. That and the mold might have been too cold, so we might have some cold shut sort of stuff, but we'll see. It feels good, so I'm hopeful. Maybe we'll get lucky here. The bolt. Okay. Hope you guys can see end coming off. Yeah, that's not bad. A little cold, but not bad. I think it could be usable. Ooh, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'll take it. Alrighty guys, it went in a little cold, like I was worried about. My mold was a little bit too cold, that's why it's got these little ripples. But that is plenty solid enough for what we're going to do. And I can improve the mold and recast it later. But yeah, no major air bubbles. I gotta trim it up just a little bit. We can go for it. It's nice and solid, it doesn't wiggle or rattle. So yeah, there we go, a lead hammer. Like I said, I got to add a little piece, a little boss on the edge of this, and I got to drill a vent hole in the sprue. And that should help it so I can actually heat the mold up a little bit better next time. Because this is a really fragile setup, this go. But for first attempt, I am tickled to death with that. Trim it up a little bit, we can rock and roll. Yeah! Alrighty guys, welcome back. Since I broke this video into 2 parts, I've actually already used the hammer from the first pour you just saw. And it's all beat up and banged up. This is what it looks like now. But that's what this is for, because all that damage wasn't taken by our part. This worked great. It's been used many times by myself. It did the job. It did crumble a little bit. You can kind of see it's a little cracky. It's because our mold was too cold, which we're going to fix that second time around. But I've used it 3 or 4 times. My brother's used it a bunch of times, and it's worked out very well. So you saw the first pour. Since then, we got our mold back. We've modified the mold. We've added a little boss there. It's going to help hold the shank on our hammer. And we drilled 2 more holes in the top that's going to help vent it. The second time around, we're also going to heat this up better, so we should get a better casting. Okay guys, we've got the lead pot back out and warmed back up. And here's the cool part about your lead hammer. It's all banged up and beat up. Well, that's no problem. You just stick it right back in here. It's going to hiss and sizzle a little bit. Down it goes. And after a couple of minutes, just pull the handle out and the hammer is gone. Just like that. Now we can reassemble this into our mold and go for our second pour. Yeah. Alrighty, our lead's molten. We got our mold good and hot. Get you set up in here without burning my fingers too badly. Let's see. Cross your fingers. Looking good. I also added some vents too, so that's good. That went much better in the first round. It went a whole lot better in the first round. We got 2 vents put in here now. So I got a much better pour. We did have a small leak, but I take that as a good sign we get the mold good and hot. So I'll let that cool down and check in with you guys when we crack her open. Yeah, that's a little better. So we'll crack this sucker open and see what it looks like. There's 2 bolt. Whack whack. Side 1. Yeah, about the same as the first time. That's what it looks like on that side. Still kind of cold. Let's try the other side. Oh, bugger, we got an air pocket. That's okay, that looks a little better. Ooh, that's better. Alrighty, we're a little better. Better than the first time around. I'll grab you guys. There we are. Better than the first try in some. You can see it's a lot more solid. End's a little cold. And it pulled a little void. So it's got a little air pocket right there. But, I mean, it's plenty serviceable. That'll work. Well, guys, there you have it. That's how to make and use a lead hammer and how to remake it when it gets wore out. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, punch that subscribe button down below to see a bunch more awesome stuff coming. And if you watch this all the way through and you watch both series, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. And if you can, please leave a comment, leave a like. It really kind of helps inspire to keep these videos coming. But if you want to see some more cool stuff, check out my channel and be sure to punch that subscribe button to see the cool stuff coming. Until next time, have a good one.